Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being a show where we talk about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Ray Donovan. So in this episode, we pick up where Ray's story left him last episode, with him in that mental facility. So that's kind of interesting. That played out in a way I wasn't kind of expecting it. I was like, just the way the episode kind of started off, I kind of felt like, oh, is the entire episode going to be Ray there kind of dealing with everything or not? That's kind of what I was kind of thinking, but maybe not. Because I feel like even if he had stayed there this first, like the whole 72 hours, he might not have really made much progress because, I mean, it looked like he was kind of inching towards it with the doctor in this episode. I mean, he kind of opened up about stuff. I feel like, I don't know, I guess because considering the situation that he's in, I guess he felt the need to kind of open up about, like, you know, Abby dying, him, you know, kind of just getting overwhelmed and just kind of blacking out like he does, it just becoming too much like that. And the fact is that does seem like it does happen quite often, and it seems like it's happened more and more for the past 2 seasons of just, you know, it's a lot to kind of take in, and you can tell it's definitely taking its toll on Ray, because like he's like, you see his eye kind of twitch a lot. I'm like, there might definitely be some like severe, I mean, there's definitely like some psychological damage. Once again, there's like PTSD and all that, so it's like there's definitely something wrong, which kind of breaks your heart because obviously he's got too much. Like, for one, Ray isn't really big in asking for people for help, because he even calls the doctor later on, because the doctor's like, oh yeah, I'll give you my number, you can call me. He does, but doesn't say anything, because it's just, I think there's just something inside of Ray that just makes it, I guess he feels like he's weak if he relies on other people. So which he relies on people to do stuff, but when it comes to himself, it's like, no, I gotta be strong, I gotta suck it up, I just gotta bury it deep down. And I think, I mean, that's just how he's handled things his entire life, you know? I was actually surprised, because I was like, oh, who are you going to call? He's like, oh, I'm going to call a friend. I was like, are you going to try and call Lena? It's like, Lena's not going to answer. She's pissed at you right now. And then I was like, because it's like, oh, no, friends can't pick you up. It has to be family. I'm like, well, he doesn't have any family that's going to pick him up, because everyone's pissed at him right now. Once again, only person who isn't is Terry. So that's why it actually shocked me when it was like, oh, Bridget actually came. I was like, what? It's like, well, she is family and everything, so probably the only one they could get in contact with. Maybe she was the first one, but nevertheless. And he kind of hides from her the fact is of what happened to him. It's like, because he doesn't want to worry her, especially, I don't know, that was just kind of interesting to me, and like him covering that whole thing up. And like, oh, I just didn't eat, I passed out. It's just like, they literally brought you here to a place like this because you passed out from not eating. I don't think so. And it turns out the person he was going to have, you know, call, the friend he was going to call was Mac, and I was like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Because I was about to say, like, because in my head, I was like, the only friend you have is Lena, because you can't call Sam. Sam's pissed at you. She's fired you, so that relationship's dead. So I was like, I didn't think, I guess I just didn't jump to the whole Mac thing. I guess it's also because him and Mac aren't in a good place. Like, every relationship Ray currently has is fucked up in some shape or form. Once again, I'd say the only one that's decent is Terry. Like, that's, like I said, that's the only sibling he's okay with. Just person in general he's okay with, because everyone else has their own issues. But nevertheless, Bridget had called Lena, and Lena had spilled the beans about, you know, ends up eventually spilling the beans. It's like, Jesus, just tell the truth for once, be honest for once. I was like, I was kind of like, because it's like, I was wondering if that's what she was going to try and tell. I was like, no. Because at first, because I think in my head, I forgot that Lena knew. Because, I mean, we didn't never see him tell Lena what happened. Because remember, I reminded myself, it's like, right, Lena's the one that bailed him out when Mac arrested him at the beginning of the season. But I don't know, I guess I didn't expect him to tell her the truth. Maybe she found out when she picked him up about, like, why he got arrested in the first place and everything. Maybe she talked with people and found out that way, so maybe it wasn't even right. Because I just didn't see Ray even telling her the truth, but maybe he was in such a low point that he actually was desperate enough to even tell her, you know? But Bridget hears this, and she's like, what the hell? The fact of the matter is, you would have left Connor and me behind, because, like, amongst, like, their immediate family, that's all you've got left. I mean, there's, you know, their uncles, but, like, the rest of the family can't replace a dad, no matter how complicated a relationship is. She doesn't want her dad dead. She loves her dad. And same thing for Connor. It's like, you would have left us behind, especially after having lost their mom already. But, you know, he was just caught up in his feelings, too. It was just too much, and he was just bottling so much up, and he was just broken from it, you know? She's even suggesting, hey, you should stay here and get some help, but Ray, being who he is, nah, I'm not going to do that. Even goes to Smitty and is like, I shouldn't leave. Dad needs me. He tried to kill himself. But for Smitty, it's like, your dad won't accept your help. If your dad's going to get help from somebody, it's going to have to be from someone else, because he'll never ask you for help. So you being here, you couldn't actually be much help to him. You know, and it's understandable why she feels it, because it's like she just wanted to leave last episode, but now it's like now she has to stay. She wants to stay because she feels like if she leaves and something happens, she feels like it's going to be her fault. I think it's also because it's like, I think there's also that aspect that she feels responsible because it's, well, maybe she feels on like some level like maybe I'm the reason why this all happened, but also it's like, you know, because she knows it's tied to her mom, which she was tied to that whole situation too, but it's like she was there for her mom, and so maybe she, you know, thinks like maybe in some shape or form I could be there for my dad. It's like mom going through her situation, me having to let her go with one thing, but I'm not willing to let you go, like I said, no matter how pissed off she is at him and just how complicated he makes her life. So it's a complicated and sad situation. But Smitty's like, we should just go, leave this all behind. And I wonder, will she? I think she should. Because I think if she doesn't, bad things are going to happen. Like, I would skip around, but like the way the episode ends is like, dude, eventually that's going to trail back to everyone that he's close to. And his brothers are in town, his daughter's in town, her fiance. So it's like, dude, the mayor being who he is, Ferrari being kind of the corrupt person he is, I wouldn't expect him, I wouldn't be surprised if he tried to make a point by hurting someone important to Ray like that. Could not happen, but part of me is just like, I just get that feeling. So that's why I kind of would be okay with her leaving town as soon as possible. What was really interesting is how Ray handled the whole situation, because Mac is like, we got to kill Emerson. And Ray's like, no, we're not going to do that. And so he'll handle it himself. Once again, taking another thing upon himself. I was actually kind of surprised what he was going to do about it. He's like, so Emerson, I'm going to talk to Ferrari. I'm going to give him your name. He's like, are you shitting me if you give him my name as well as Max? Max just as good as Dad. So I was like, oh, get the judge's name. And so also the fact is you have to wear this wire on your, I'm already blanking on it. It's like, because I had actually heard the word before, but I was like, why do I know that word? And it's like, oh yeah, it's that flat piece between your testicles and your ass. And it's like, oh, the taint, the gooch. And it's like, was it the perineum? It's something with a P. I'm already blanking on it. But it was like, oh yeah, the scientific term for that. Like I was like, right. And it's like, also, Ray, when you're in there, like, also try and get a wide stance because it helps with the audio. I would have been like, fuck you for just even saying that. But it's like, I didn't know they made wires that you could wear. I mean, I guess it makes sense because no one's going to be looking there. That's interesting. Like, cause I've watched enough crime drama, like movies and TV shows where it's like, oh, someone's got to wear a wire. I've never seen like a taint, like, wire before. That's crazy. Got Ferrari on tape asking him to kill the judge and everything. Like, Emerson's the one who messed up. I guess because he needed to be nearby, but you could have been a little more inconspicuous or something like that. Because Red had already made a statement of like, oh yeah, I'm a find out who the guy is and take care of him. More particular, like the rat. I even love Danny being like, man, I already, like, Ferrari's shutting all this stuff down. Man, I already bought some skis and stuff like that. And he told his wife, and he's like, the fact that he was even talking to Mac, he's like, you think I can turn them in, like, even though they've never actually been on the water? And you just have Mac looking at him because it's like they're dealing with this situation, and that's his biggest concern. It's like, man, I just bought those jet skis and we getting cut off by Ferrari? Come on, man. I wonder, could I take them back? Nah, but my wife already knows I got them. It's like the conversations from a corrupt cop. It's just an interesting conversation that's happening right there. I thought that was kind of funny because he's the only one really partaking in the conversation because Red nor Mac were really listening to him. So, but it's like, I'm actually surprised. I mean, it makes sense. Emerson didn't get killed. Just the angle, it kind of made me think like, oh, like an off-screen, he gets shot type of thing. Like the camera's facing him, you see, bam, to his head. But it's like, no, they need to find out who the rat is. I mean, I guess Red hadn't gone in yet, so he hadn't heard everything from Ferrari about Ray and stuff like that. That the judge was actually the rat. But it's like, luckily for him, but unlucky for Ray and Emerson, Red tracked him down and dealt that. It's like, oh. Which is so interesting because like, it seemed like Emerson was kind of walking around because he seemed like he had everyone by the balls and stuff like that. So it seemed like he was in control. And in his one instant, everything flipped. And now he's the one that got his balls in a vice, essentially. What actually surprised me was the fact is apparently he sold out Ray and didn't sell out Mac. Well, I guess it makes sense because if something happens to Ray, oh well, at the very least, Mac will still be undercover and will still be on the inside so he can get information. So it's like, I guess in Emerson's case, if I have to give up one person, give up the person that's on the outside of everything. I mean, I guess maybe it kind of works out for Ray because Ray got the recording, like, he copied it while it was happening, so he has his own tape of it. But I'm like, why did he do that? Like, not unless that's for a plan that I'm not aware of yet, but it's like, why keep your own version? And you're going to give one to, obviously, to Emerson, and Emerson has his own, and you got one, but it's like, for what purpose? Was it going to be, like, something to kind of help someone out? Like, was it going to be something, was he planning on giving it to Sam to put him and Sam back in a good place? It's like, oh, you have this on Ferrari, you can use this to leverage, maybe even giving it to Anita so that she could win and Sam could get the prison like she wanted to, or at the very least give it to Sam so we could skip the whole process and so she could just get the prison anyway. I'm curious. That's the only thing I think of, because he didn't really talk about why he was doing it, he just did it. So, but to be fair, even if they're doing what they're doing with the whole Emerson situation, that recording's still out there. Ray has it on him though too, so not unless it was something to kind of give Mac protection, because like, oh, I also have this recording, you do anything to me, this recording gets, I don't know. Maybe it was insurance for Mac, but we see Ray kind of getting his ass kicked at the end. But like I said, I don't see that ending well, because it's like, which sucks because Ray's already been in a bad enough position. He's already gotten tased and beat up before, and now he's getting beat up again. He's not already in the best condition, and you know none of this could be beneficial for his help in no shape or form, you know? So there's that. On the other side of things, you had the whole Sandy and Daryl thing this episode. I love that that's the duo we were creating, where it's kind of like she's checking in on like, oh, like, ooh, can I help you put your towel on and everything? He's like, nah. She's got the recordings and stuff like that. It's like, oh yeah, I record the good book for people who can't hear. And she's like, you mean people can't? Daryl's like, you mean people can't see? She's like, no, for those who are very hard of hearing. She's like, I say it loud and stuff. You know, I have a voice that carries. And then she has Daryl sing a song for her, and it's like, yeah. And you have like Bunchy over there by the chair being like, what the fuck, dude? Just kind of like, he already talked about how Daryl kind of sucked. And then Mickey just comes over and cuts it off. He's like, yo, what the hell, Mick? You messed up the recording. It was good. And then him and Sandy are rocking to like, I guess, I don't know whether it was like they blended his song with like her recordings or whatever. But he's like, oh, we should take this on the road. And she's like, yeah, but the recordings got messed up. And she's like, it was shit anyway, you know. You had Mick trying to talk to Ray, but Terry was like, no, I'm not going to let that happen. I thought it was kind of a nice moment too, because they have actually not interacted at all this season. I think this is their first interaction, Terry and Mick. I feel like maybe they have in retrospect. I have to think back. I feel like they're the ones who talk the least amongst, I don't know, amongst the family, because Terry's kind of like Ray. He doesn't fuck with Mickey like that. Like, Bunchy and Daryl are the only ones who are close to Mickey. Terry and Ray's the most kind of like F you Mickey, but Terry's kind of, he's definitely a close second in a regard. I think like Ray kind of hates Mickey the most, and Terry doesn't hate him but doesn't like him, so. But it was kind of that moment of like, that look on your face is the same look you'd have even when you were going to pull out the belt. And Mickey being like, nah, everything's good. I'm trying to make sure everything's good. It's like, no, you're trying to get the money back, which is like, do you really think Ray would give you the money back after everything, all the trouble you're going to put him through and everything? I mean, for one, they don't know it, but he doesn't have the money anymore, so it's not like going to Ray's going to do you any good. And, I mean, they've actually haven't been face-to-face since last season, so I'm so curious to see what would actually happen face to face, what their first face to face in such a long time is actually going to be. Side note, I just really thought it was kind of interesting because I just thought about it too. I didn't know we finally got a time frame between the time skip at the beginning of the season to like the first episode, like the time skip in the episode. It was apparently 2 months. I thought it was going to be longer than that. It's like, no, it had only been 2 months or whatever. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I didn't know that until Lena had been like, oh yeah, guess what your dad did like 2 months ago. And I was like, oh, okay. But nevertheless, Terry's trying to win his fight, but definitely not in good enough condition because like he's starting to shake again because I guess like whatever damage he took to his head is starting to affect like all the surgery and all the stuff that's in his head to kind of help with his Parkinson's. Like it's kind of being messed with because he's shaking again, which he hasn't for a while. So it's like another fight and he'd be screwed. So Mickey tries to set Daryl up the fight, but it's kind of interesting because it's like Mickey kind of shows some concern and stuff like, oh, that doesn't look good. But then his tune kind of changes a little bit when he finds out about the money. But even he wasn't suggesting Terry fight. It's kind of interesting, like, at what moments he steps in to kind of be a dad. He's never been the best dad, but every once in a while he kind of shows a little caring for his kids. Like, he does care, but at the same time it's like, yeah, but it seems like more so than anything, like, you only want them alive long enough so that you could profit from them, because they're always around to be used in a scheme of yours of some shape or form. Like, it's never just kind of like, oh yeah, let's hang out, son. It's more like, yeah, I love you, son. Yeah, so I'm gonna do this thing, or you're a part of this thing, and we can make out like bandits or something. You know, it's always a catch with Mickey, and that's why, like, Ray and Terry have so much animosity towards him, I'm sure. But Bunchy's the one that steps up and fights. It's like, that came as no surprise. He needs the money, which is interesting because Ray was working on a deal to make it so that Bunchy got out of the situation okay. Maybe that's what that's also about, because maybe his copy of the recording, the wiretap, maybe it was to help Bunchy, because it was all about getting, like, Bunchy out of, like, off the FBI's radar, kind of helping with that. But to be fair, it's like, oh, can't do anything for Mickey. Ray's like, I don't care about Mickey. You can do whatever you want to about him. So it seemed like it was kind of going through, but now that he kind of got found, well, the way they made it sound, I wasn't sure if the deal had already gone through to go, like, oh, help with Bunchy, or whether or not it was kind of something that was kind of in the early works of, like, oh, we could get started on this and get this done, because it was still kind of something that Ray was like, so, about my brother. So it seemed like it was still something Ferrari hadn't completely signed off on yet. So that kind of screws Ray over in that department, because he tried to make, you know, he tries to balance things out. He screwed his brother over last episode, and he's like, he feels bad about doing that, and it's like he wants to help his brother out because he knows his brother just got caught up in that situation because of their dad, so he's not trying to punish him for that. It's like, because no matter what happens, that's still his little brother, and he cares about him a lot, you know. So Bunchy ended up winning his first fight because Mickey ended up rigging the fight. I thought that was kind of interesting, by taking what was the dude, the Iron Lung took his inhaler. That kind of took me by surprise. I was like, oh, a fighter with, well, to be fair, like, literally Terry's a fighter with Parkinson's, so it's like this guy having, like, asthma, I guess shouldn't be too much of a surprise. So Terry ended up winning. I mean, Bunchy, geez. Then Bunchy lost the last fight. He just kept getting up and he was smiling. I think on some, like, I think it's Donovans in general, they love getting the crap beat out. Because I think on some twisted level, they think they deserve it. So I think that's what they like. Like, Terry was kind of, like, thriving in it last episode. He was like, yeah! Like, he liked that surge. And it seemed like Bunchy kind of had it to a certain extent, so. There's that dude that was tied up. I don't know whether that's supposed to be like the dude who's paying out or the dude who got paid about the fight. So I guess that was Mickey stealing the 50 G's from him. Potentially, I don't know. So there's that as well. So that's a very interesting place to kind of leave things off in retrospect with everything. So I'm very curious to see where the whole Ray situation takes him next episode. Like I said, he has very few people he can contact and get in touch with. Like, I'm curious to see what the backlash, the aftermath of this, like, where he will stand at the end of all this. Like, especially him and Sam, like, they're in a bad place, but it's like, will him and Sam repair their relationship and they'll keep going forward? What's going to happen between Ray and Ferrari now that Ferrari knows that he's the inside person, but Mac is kind of still free to do his thing? Like, what's going to happen on that front? Like I said, what is the true purpose of the recording? Like, I throw out some thoughts on mine, what the recording, the extra, like, recording of the wiretap was for, but I probably could be completely wrong on all fronts. What happens now? What does Terry do now? Like, the final fight wasn't even his, but he ended up losing it. So it's like, well, I mean, Bunchy lost it, but Terry lost it. Because it was more so, I don't know if it was even about well, it seemed like it was about the money, but I think even for Terry, it's not about the money. I think it's the money and the pride of the situation, because he's a very proud dude. Bunchy, it's about the money to kind of potentially get away, but he might not have to worry. Well, he potentially wouldn't have had to worry about it, the whole, like, you know, people after him situation, because Ray was dealing with it, but that didn't, seems like it worked out. But, like, all that, we will have to wait and see what goes down in the next episode. I'm very excited to see what it has in store for us. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Until the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.